Hi, everybody. I've been home from the Philippines for a month and a half now, and most of my vlog has been places I've been, what it was like at the place or something like that. And I know a lot of people look for videos about the Philippines to find out information about what things cost, other things like that, which I don't go into on those videos. So now I'm here in America, I can reflect and look back and kind of give you information of how I felt things was, what my experience was. So I'll start out with the flight over there. And if these get too long, I'll just break this up into sections because there's a lot of ground to cover different things. But the flight out there, I had originally planned to go to the Philippines for 2 weeks. And I was looking online for prices of airline tickets, and I stumbled across a site called ASAP Tickets. So I called them and was on there quite a while with the gentleman I talked to. And he ended up telling me that he could save me $900 if I flew over there on one date and flew back on another date. And that was 27 days total in the Philippines, which I'm kind of glad it happened that way because I am really happy I got to spend more time than I originally planned there because I think 2 weeks would have been way too short for me. But anyway, I ended up buying those tickets, cost me $2,600, and I paid $200, I think it was, for the insurance. That was included in the 2,600 round trip. The problem was I had to fly from Detroit on United, get to San Francisco, and get on China Airlines, fly from China or fly from San Francisco on China Airlines to Taipei and then to Cebu City, Philippines. Drove 4 hours to get to the airport in Detroit. No problems there. Got on the plane in Detroit, flew to San Francisco, four and a half hour plane ride, something like that, with a almost 3 hour layover. But the plane in Detroit left late. So when I got to San Francisco, there was a little bit of time crunch there. And I had to go to China Airlines to check in there to catch the international flight. I got to the China Airlines ticket counter and they look at me and show them my paperwork, you know, got my information on it. And they said, "This ticket's been canceled." And I was like, "What? I had never canceled my ticket. Who canceled my ticket?" And they said, "Probably the broker that sold it to you." So I'm panicking now. I'm standing there, short time to get to the next flight, and I've got a canceled ticket. So I call ASAP. I'm on hold. I get transferred. I'm on hold again. And I'm standing there, trying to get this straightened out, and the clock's ticking. And the lady did tell me for $265 she could get me on the flight. So I did that. I paid the $265. The rest of the flight was fine, no problems. 2 hour layover in Taipei, I think it was 2 or 3 hours, not too bad. And finally get into the Philippines, and after a little bit, I call ASAP, and they kind of tell me, well, the flight changed, so that kind of our insurance doesn't cover that, or some bull crap like that. And I said, no, I got on the same airplane, same flight number, same time. The only thing that changed was my ticket got canceled and I had to buy one. ever since then, they turned it in for the insurance or whatever, because I've been getting emails every week up until last week. I've not gotten one that, oh, we are checking with the airline and we'll get back to you as soon as possible about your $200. And I sent them the receipt, the boarding pass, and everything, pictures of them. And it was not $200, it's $265. Plus, I paid the 200 and some odd dollars for the insurance. So that flight cost me an extra $500 more than it should have. And I have not seen my $265 back yet from anybody. So I'd be very leery about using the ASAP again. I did call them to price my returning tickets this time. It's going to be a one-way ticket. But the price was higher than what I could get off booking.com on my own. So I did price it. They were $300 higher than booking.com. So I won't be using ASAP again. And I won't be buying their insurance again for sure. So just a word of caution there about that. Coming home the trip, no problems with tickets or anything, but there was 2 8-hour layovers. Taipei was almost 9 hours, I think. But that's a very nice airport in Taipei. They have library. They have areas where you can actually, there's spots, seating areas that you can actually lay down on. If it's not so full of people that they're all full and you have to sit on the floor, which at the end I did because I lost my seat. But anyway, it was a very comfortable airport. So that wasn't too bad. I mean, an 8-hour layover is bad enough, or 9-hour. Caught the flight into San Francisco, but this time it flew in LAX, not San Francisco. Got to LAX, got there around 11 o'clock at night. Had to go from China Airline International, where we landed, and get over to domestic United to get the flight from there to Detroit. Another 8-hour layover. Problem with this one was, as soon as we get to the ticket counter, they say, we closed, be open at 4 o'clock in the morning. This was like 11 o'clock at night. There was no place to sit. Hard concrete floor. Well, not concrete, but tile. Ceramic tile floor, which I'm sure was on top of concrete. And sat there like that. Walk around a little bit when you could, but it was late at night. It was just a very bad experience. I'm never doing another one of those layovers ever again. LAX sucked. Finally got from LAX to Detroit and drove back home, another 4 hours back home. So that was the flight. Getting into Cebu, landed there, and they always tell you about, or the videos that I watch always tell you about, don't exchange all your money in the airport. You get a better exchange rate outside the airport. So I got me just enough money to get me through a day or so, exchanged enough, and figured I'd exchange more later. I don't even remember what the exchange rate was in the airport, 52, 53, I'm guessing. And then a couple of days later, or a day or two later, went down the road from the hotel, had an exchange there, and it was like 53 pesos per dollar. I did exchange again one other time for 55 pesos a dollar. That was in Mindanao, where I was there. It took a lot longer because they went through every bill, wrote every serial number and everything down, where the other ones didn't. But it was a better exchange rate. So when you go, keep an eye on that exchange rate. If you got money you might want to exchange in a day or two, see what that exchange rate is doing. I took all $100 bills. I went to my bank, withdrew the money that I needed, and they gave me all nice $100 bills. But the first exchange in Cebu, outside the airport, they looked at my money and they handed me back $400, and they said, "We can't exchange this. It's got a crease in it," which I couldn't see it, but apparently they could, or fold or something like that in it in the corner. So I said, okay. And later, me and my friend Ann, she was going to cook in the hotel. We were in a mall, and at the market there, they had a bank inside of there. So I took that $400 and handed it to her and said, "Go see if you can exchange this money, because they turned me down on this at the other place." She said, "Okay." She went up there. They never gave her a bit of trouble. So I don't know if it'd have been the same if I'd have done that. I suspect you would have better luck on exchange on money they won't accept. Go somewhere else and have your Filipina or Filipino friend give it a try, because I think they'll exchange it for a Filipino where they won't for an American. Taxis there are very inexpensive. It's all the way across the town from the airport. You have to cross from one island over the bridge into Cebu City. And I think the most expensive taxi drive was there and back to there when I left was about 400 pesos, which is $8 to go all the way across town. So that is cheap compared to what I know of the United States. Now, I don't take taxis in the United States. I don't live any place where we have taxis. Everything I drive there, I have a car or a truck. So from my experience with taxis in the United States, even from years ago, they are a lot cheaper. Also in Cebu, they have the taxis, and there are buses, I do believe. I don't remember seeing tricycles there. There are jeepneys. I don't think that many that I remember seeing in Cebu. But in Mindanao, say at Depalog, there was a lot of tricycles. Most of our transportation in Dipolog was by tricycle, or trike as they call it. It's a motorcycle with a sidecar, and you'll see them in videos and stuff. But those were very inexpensive. A couple of hundred pesos take you pretty much anywhere in Dipolog, which is $4. You can't beat that, really. Also, they do have jeepneys, which I never got to ride a jeepney. When I was there in the Navy years ago, that's how we traveled, jeepneys. But I don't know the prices of jeepneys right now. We never rode them. I know they're not very expensive. You pay very few pesos and just tell the driver when you want off, basically, is the way I understand it works now. So transportation in the Philippines is relatively cheap. Now, I have heard uh, take the white taxi at Cebu Airport, not the other color. I think it's red or whatever. But we never had any problem with taxi drivers trying to rip us off. Of course, Anne, being Filipino, she could negotiate with them. I'd hear her speak to them in Filipino, and either we took that taxi or we didn't. There's a couple of times we didn't take a taxi, or that exact taxi. We got a different one. I did notice that as soon as you get in the taxi, the meter does start at 40 pesos. So be aware of that. If you get in there and it's 40 pesos as soon as you say it, that's normal. They're not trying to rip you off. That's just a starting fare in the taxi for the taxis I was in. Gasoline, because we did travel by car and I bought gas most of the time, I'd put in about 1,000 pesos of gas in the car, which is $20 US, which is about 4 gallons at their price. because there they sell gas by the liter, not by the gallon. And when I left, it was 65 pesos a liter. So I did the math on that, and that comes out to $4.91 a gallon. So that's pretty high gas there. So you can see why you see a lot of trikes or motorcycles and very small vehicles on the road there. Biggest motorcycle I've seen was maybe a 250. They don't have big bikes like I have, like a 1000cc, anything like that. And I was actually told that about the limit is the 300cc bike there. You see a lot of scooters, mopeds, as we call them. And did see 4 people on one motorcycle, looked like about a 125 trail bike like you'd see here, and 4 people on it. So it is something to see. You don't really realize it until I've seen it in videos, but to actually see it is something else too. I also driving at night on Mindanao. I can't say everywhere in the Philippines. This is only from my experience. Driving at night on the highway around Mindanao part that I was in, at least, there are no stop signs, no stoplights, nothing like that. And at night, no tail lights, no headlights for some vehicles. I mean, most had it, but every once in a while, you wouldn't hardly see them until you was right on top of them. You'd have a motorcycle with no light, nothing, or a trike, as they call it. No tail lights, nothing, in the middle of the dark. So you got to be very careful if you drive there at night, and be aware that a lot of vehicles or people and animals, you're not going to see them in the dark until it's almost too late. Traffic does not move that fast, like 60, 70 mile an hour like it does here. But still at 40, 50 mile an hour, you could have problem. I also did see like a 6-wheeler truck about the size of what we call a dump truck with a little bit longer bed, full of looked like bamboo. And it was stacked really high, probably higher than what a semi truck would be here, which is 13.6 feet high. With probably, I would say 7, 8 workers, maybe more, sitting on top of it, and one of them right back on the edge. I was afraid the dude was going to fall off and we was going to run over him. So they do live dangerously there. And without stop signs and all that, it's just go when you can deal. Or move your way in there and make somebody else wait. So traffic is something else there. It's something to behold. Food prices was not bad at all. I've heard, if you go out to the restaurants all the time, it's more expensive than here. The restaurants we went to Jollibee's, which is like Dollar General here. They're everywhere. Jollibee's, I can feed 3 of us on $15, I think it was. The most expensive restaurant we ate in, I took us out the first night there to a steak dinner, and it was me and Ann and her son, and that was about close to $80. But that was a nice steak restaurant. They had never been in one like that before, apparently. And that was really high. They were flabbergasted at what I paid for that. About probably maybe similar to what it would be here. I don't go out to steak dinners here where I'm buying for 3 people or anything like that very often. I'm by myself all the time. So as far as burgers and stuff like that, they don't taste the same as they do here. I can tell you that. The price is really inexpensive. I can feed 3 people for the cost it would cost me at McDonald's by myself. So that's not that bad. You go to the market, if you're going to cook yourself, it's a lot more inexpensive. You don't have the choices you have here. Like here, might have a roll with 10 different brands of the same thing on it. You get, maybe if you're lucky, 2 or 3 brands in a big place. And if you're in a small area, you might get one choice. And the size of packaged food there, like coffee, anything like that, like the coffee we buy, instead of buying it in a container or K cups, I didn't see any K cups there. We bought ours in individual packages. You get a little bag, plastic baggie, whatever, with enough coffee and the creamer already mixed in, if you want it that way, and just pour it in the hot water and you got your cup of coffee. It's actually decent coffee. I was surprised. So food prices are very inexpensive. From my experience, I've heard, it's more expensive to eat there than it is here, but from my experience, I didn't notice that. I noticed it was cheaper, especially if you cooking for yourself. And like I said, the serving sizes that you buy are much smaller there. I don't think I did say that actually. But like here in the United States, I go shopping. I'm widowed. I live by myself, and everything I buy is made for families. So sometimes a loaf of bread, it goes bad before I eat it all, or half a gallon of milk, half of it goes bad before I used it all because I don't use it every day. But there, the serving sizes are more individual. Everything seems to be packaged as individuals instead of for families. I mean, you can buy large quantities as well, especially rice. You can buy some very big bags of rice everywhere there. But it seemed to me that most serving sizes of food that you bought in the small market, like in Mindanao, where I was there in the small town, that it was more geared as individuals. So if you had 3 people, you would buy 3 packages or whatever. Hotel cost, we stayed in a hotel 7 nights. I rented 2 rooms in Cebu. And for 7 days or 7 nights, it cost me $460. So that's about 4 nights in a hotel here for one room. The last hotel I was in Michigan, downstate here, cost me right at 100 and just over $100 actually for one night. And that was one of the most inexpensive hotels I could find along the route that I was driving up here on. So hotels, and you can find them cheaper than that actually. So hotels are very inexpensive there. I mean, you can find a hotel that will cost you $500 a night if you want to. That's not me. I don't have that kind of money. Which money, of course, brings me to the topic of uh, everybody thinking you're rich there. That's one thing that does bother me. I understand why they think that and everything, but it bothers me because if people think you're rich when you're not, they treat you differently than they normally would if they knew better. You don't get to see the genuine side of people, I would guess I'd say. And it makes it difficult just knowing that you're not getting to meet the real person there. In a lot of cases, I mean, I'm sure it's not every case. There are some people that, accept you for who you are no matter, but just everybody thinking you're rich, it's kind of brings the anxiety level up a little bit. Next was rest and recreation. I don't go to bars, nightclubs, anything like that, so I cannot speak to that. Uh, they do have some very big malls there, and there's like the old arcades here that we used to have here in the United States. Of course, it's all electronic games now, not like pinball like we had back in when I was younger. But they still have those there. Some very big malls. If you've seen my video about Cebu, that mall was 4 stories and it was huge. And I had to actually in the market shut the camera down by security guard told me I couldn't film in there. It was just, if you watch that video, that's in there. As far as other recreation, like going to, like if you see my other videos, the resorts and beaches we went to, it's not very expensive at all. I think most of them I gave the price in, but average was maybe 500 to 1,000 pesos for a night, which is like 1,000 pesos is $20. Just when when you calculate your dollars to pesos there, I just average everything by 50 pesos to dollar. That way, fluctuating exchange rate, you still average out. So it's not exact, it's close. But for $20, you can go to one of those places, spend the night, camp out on the beach. Uh, Everybody cooks, have a big meal, bunch of people, party all night. And that was for a whole group of people, maybe $1,000 or 20, not $1,000, 1,000 pesos. I mean, $20. Just, I don't think that I know of any place here in the United States where you can do that. But that was about the extent of my recreational activities there, sightseeing mostly, spending time on the beach with friends and their friends' family. The weather, Cebu had a little rain. It was not every day, I don't think. There was some days I never got out of the hotel. But in Mindanao, Dipolog didn't seem, well, it was only Dipolog for 2 days, so I can't really judge, but I might have rained one of those days. In the other little town between Iloy and, I think it's Iloy, Apil and Liloy, I think it is. The town that I was between those two, it rained every day. I think we might have had 1 or 2 days it did not rain there. And it does come pouring down too. It's a rainy season there. And somebody brought this to my attention the other day. Said, what's it like there in the winter? They don't have winter. It's wet season, dry season. That's the seasons they have there. So the weather was 80s when the sun was out. It might get down to 70s in the evenings at night. Or when it's raining, it cools down, of course, get down to 70s. I don't think it ever got down to 60s the whole time I was there. I'm sure it didn't. Of course, I didn't sit and watch the weather every day like I do here either. Uh, that's it. They did have one typhoon threaten the island. I don't think it ever hit the island while I was there. Caused a little bad weather in some areas, but not where I was at in Mindanao. Didn't affect us. The one funny story I do have, I was staying in a house, a friend there, and be laying in bed at night, and all of a sudden hear, uh-oh. I was like, what? And hear it again, uh-oh. So I was like, what the heck is that? And, I'd hear it a few times and it'd stop. So that went on for a few nights in a row. By the third night, I figured out what it was. But the first couple of nights is like, what is that? Is somebody saying uh-oh to me in a strange voice? And it's a gecko. I can't remember the exact name. Taco or something like that. Tico. They have a name for it. But anyway, if you laying in bed, usually this happened in the evenings, and hear uh-oh, uh-oh, it's a gecko. It's not somebody speaking to you. I have a friend who was over there, and he told me that the first 3 nights he was there, he was going, who's there? Because he thought somebody was talking to him. I do plan on returning soon, sooner than I expected. I was going to go back in January after the holidays, but some holidays plans have fallen through. I'm not going to get to be with my children or anything, so I'm just going to go early, I think, to the Philippines. I've already bought my tickets. One-way ticket this time cost me $1,300, but that includes, I did get $78 insurance. See if that's any good. Hopefully I don't have to find out if that's any good or not. And I did have to buy a ticket leaving the Philippines, even though this trip I do not plan on leaving within that 30 days. But the way they have it set up there, you fly into the Philippines unless you have a citizenship or something like that, I believe. You have to have a ticket that leaves there within 30 days. Unless you have a specific visa, I forget what it's called, then you've got 60 days. But you have to have a ticket that departs the Philippines. It doesn't have to go back home, it just has to leave the Philippines. So in that case, what I had to do this time, I bought a cheap ticket to Singapore. And when I get there, that's going to be a throwaway ticket. I will not be using that ticket, but it lets me into the country. It lets me get on the flight there. They won't let you on the flight there if you don't have that. Now, I've heard from some on YouTube that no, they never asked them about that ticket or anything. Well, when I went, they did check me, make sure I had a return ticket home. So I would have that just to be safe, because you don't want to get to the airport and say, no, you got getting on this flight because you don't have a return ticket back or a return or forward ticket out. So that is one requirement you have to have there. If you're going to stay longer than that 30 days, you can extend your visa, and it does cost. You have to go to the immigration office, which I do believe now you can do it online from what I seen the other day. I'll have to double check on that, make sure. I believe that's something new. So now if an airline tells you, no, you got to show proof of vaccine or vaccination, or show proof that you have a negative test within 24 hours, which that was the quality. You did have to have that at one time. Now you don't have to have that, because I was sweating it. I didn't know that had expired. I couldn't, because the flight left on a Sunday night, I couldn't get my negative test within 24 hours of getting on that flight. And the airline told me, no, you got to have that before you get on the flight. Well, I got to the airport. Nobody ever asked me about a shot or being vaccinated. I got to the Philippines. Nobody asked me anything about it. So that was no issue. Also, I did forget to file with e-file before I left. You're supposed to do that within 3 days. They call it e-travel. It's a Philippine travel app, government, I believe, website. You have to fill out information and get a barcode put on your phone, or the little square one. I forget what it's called. But it's good to have a picture of that or have it on your phone. You have to have it. In my case, since I forgot to do that before I left, I knew about it, I just forgot to do it. As soon as I got up to customs at the airport in Cebu, I had to stop at a computer. They had me fill out all the information, get there one on the spot, and then I could get through immigration or customs, whatever you want to call it there. So like I said, I do plan on returning. I will be doing vlogs still, hopefully, of areas new places I see, or drone flights, places I didn't get to film when I was there before. And everything's going to be a new adventure. Maybe a different island. I don't know yet. This is going to be kind of a play-by-ear trip. And it's going to be probably a more permanent trip. So, like I said, anything you can think of, put in the comments. I'll answer it. I'll make a video about it. I'll try my best to get you an answer from my experience. I won't go by what I've heard on you other videos, anything like that. Just my own experience. So thanks for watching. Have a good one. Bye, y'all.